Hi everybody. It's great to hear everybody couldn't resist talking about AR. And that's really part of what I want to talk about. And from an accessibility point of view, in a similar way to the last speaker, about pushing the access to more people, both pushing VR back into the unwearable web and also pushing our access into the real world space. So I run a company called All Media, and you can think of us as sort of Wix for AR and VR. And I've been ranting about this sort of thing for quite a while. So since 2010, we've been pitching the development of AR in the web browser and standards. It was probably insane back then. It was probably a chemical issue, perhaps. I don't know. But it's really evolved, and it's amazing how much web VR has pushed the space forward. The momentum that's been driven through this is awesome. So this is really an amazing time. This month seems critical. It's one of those zeitgeist sort of periods, and everybody's aware of how much is going on. So we think it's a perfect time to step back, and part of this presentation is really targeted much at the W3C and the standards development as the developers and the groups. So I just want to take another step back and really look at Milgram's mixed reality continuum. So on the one side you have the real world environment, on this side the virtual environment. In the middle left you have augmented reality, everybody's aware of that, and then the middle right, augmented virtuality, which is really projecting real world input into a virtual space. And our view is that geometry is really important. So it was great to see Nell's presentation. I think the layers that she presented are really key, and I think that's a really important part of the discussion around the geometry. And architecture is really one of the dominant forms or the dominant ways we experience geometry. It shapes our world, and architects like to think of buildings as machines for working and living in, and I think that's a great analogy for what we're creating. And the geometry of the technology itself, so if we look at how it's shaped, it really defines how we use the specific technology, but we need to leave it open to create new types of experiences and allow innovation inside that we can't really predict. So if we walk through how the camera has evolved, we can see the geometries that have changed there, the types of innovation, and perhaps how we can look at the way we can develop standards for that. So if you look at the original camera obscura, which really drove the pinhole camera model, you had to put your head in the box and trace the image yourself. From there, plate cameras evolved, and this was effectively the mobile version of the camera obscura, but you had to put yourself under a tent. But at least now you're looking through the optics into the field of view that you're seeing. And then the box brownie is like the smartphone equivalent for cameras. It really popularised this. They targeted it at kids. It made photography much more popular, but it was a really different geometry. You're looking down and the field of view is in front of you. And then viewfinders and SLRs evolved, and you're able to look through the device and see the scene that you're taking the image of. And then digital displays evolved, and that allowed us to have a different spatial relationship to the device. So we could have an arm's length experience, this brought out this sort of crowd photo taking experience, and really changed our relationship with the device again. And that's evolved even further to now this sort of insane experience. So I don't know if anybody hasn't seen this photo. It's from Telegraph. It's a real photo. Now it's the mainstream experience. You turn your back on the subject. So it's insane. So I'd like to walk through the geometry of the different technologies and talk about... Okay, I'll go through really quickly. So this is the HTML5 spatial experience. So you've got virtual content, the virtual camera, the virtual microphone, and the different devices. VR's added on the head-mounted display and stereo rendering, so two virtual points of view. But that doesn't allow us to access the real world that lays beyond that. We can do that using existing WebRTC get user media camera access, and we can do good tracking. It's starting to happen really now. And I'm a co-editor of the depth extension spec with ANSI and Mingjin, and so I'd really encourage people to start adopting that and really extending how we can bring depth into that. But the key is that all of it, the integration happens in people's minds, and I think we can abstract the discussion up a level. for all of the tracking innovation that's going to happen, it really comes down to orientation and position. Okay, let me get running.